Hi everybody, it's Jay Nabe here. Today I wanted to talk about productivity. So I'm going to start off with first off, how do you get good productivity? I think the number one thing is to eliminate all distractions. I think the number one distraction right now is your phone. So you just got to chuck that out the window, no phones. So I think another one is to create a schedule. So for me, I can show you my schedule. If you go on Google Docs, there's a daily schedule planner on Google Docs. So that's what I use. There's like a template, you can look it up. But here's mine. I have it going every 30 minutes. I have it planned out. So I have like eating breakfast, meditation, and things of that nature. So I think that definitely helps. But a big thing is to be able to sustain the productivity once you get it, is to be able to control your dopamine levels. What I mean by that is you need to take breaks. For example, I go out and walk my dog to get some sunlight. So that's what I do to take breaks. But with productivity, I think it's just getting into the habit of doing things. You have to make sure that doing hard things don't feel hard. So you just gotta be able to things that you find fun, you have to do less. So less video games, less watching YouTube, except for my videos, but things like that. So yeah, but with productivity, for me, it was just getting into the habit of doing things and just continuing to build up on that momentum. So as you know, I'm a music artist, so I release a song a week. So pretty much my typical day is just working on songs the whole day. I just go with a regular 9 to 5 because that's what I heard Eminem does. So that's what I've been following. But I want to continue with that momentum. But with productivity, I feel like once you start getting things done, if you do a to-do list and you make boxes and check it off or cross things off, it just makes you enjoy the process so much more. You have to understand that getting things done is only helping you. It's not hurting you. Your future self will love you so much more for getting things done today than waiting for them to get done in the future. It's just if you want to be rich and that's your goal, you have to be productive. Outsourcing it to other people helps you in the short term, but not in the long term. Because you don't learn how to do things yourself. That's what you really need to do, is be able to run all aspects of your business by yourself. But self-productivity is so important. I think it's very underrated because a lot of people don't understand that if you want to be able to run a business, you have to work a lot of long hours. Just because you run a business doesn't mean you work less. You probably work 5 times or 10 times more than you're used to, because when you're running a business, it's like a 24/7 thing. There's no breaks. There's no clock in, clock out. There's none of that. You're always on the move. You're always trying to find new clients. You're always trying to work. You're always trying to make new opportunities. Because the opportunities don't make themselves. You're always going for it. If you're not, you're always trying to find ways to beat out your competition. Because there's always competition. A lot of things nowadays are pretty saturated. You got to find your competitive edge. You're always looking for the new niche. You're always finding ways to provide more value than your competitors. And the way to do that is just to be more productive than them. You have to outwork anybody who you're competing against. That's just how it is. You gotta be more competitive, you gotta work harder and work smarter. And that's just the marketplace nowadays. If you want to make a lot more money, you have to provide more value and you have to help more people. Those are kind of the basic principles. I mean, there's a lot of great books to read. There's The Millionaire Fastline by MJ DeMarco. I'm sure a lot of you heard about it. It's a great book. But he talks about coming out with content to make more money. And then just pumping out content. Because every piece of content you put out that helps people makes you more money in the end. But I think the goal to be more productive is just to start out with small goals. So if you haven't really been doing anything and you've just been pretty much doing nothing and slacking off, the first thing you need to do is 30 minutes a day. Just do something productive for 30 minutes a day. I think that's very achievable for anybody, doing 30 minutes a day of being productive. So to set a timer and just do full 30 minutes. Like, you gotta be able to do 30 minutes as a starting point, and just slowly increase it up to there until you get to the point that you can do a full 9 to 5. Obviously with breaks in between, because I'm a huge advocate for breaks. But I think that's definitely a good way to go about it. And then always have incentives for yourself. So like after a hard week, have like a, I don't know, happy hour to go out to eat sushi or something, or hang out with your friends. You just gotta make sure that you're always able to sustain that level of productivity you want. And to always make sure that you're like able to continue doing great work that you want to do. But with being productive, there's always that downside of getting burnt out. The whole point of being productive isn't for you to be burnt out. If you feel like you're getting burnt out, just take off like 3 or 4 days, or a week even, if it takes you that long. Because at one point I was already feeling burnt out, and I ended up taking a week off, and it just rejuvenated me to be able to go back into what I wanted to do, which was, for me, was making more music. Because I swear, making music can be super tiring sometimes, but it's all about juggling between like how much dopamine you have and how much dopamine you're losing. You always want to keep a pretty sustained level. But with me, my productivity has been pretty well. I really don't want to go over the 9 to 5, those amount of hours, but I want to be against it. It's just that like too many hours for me is hard for me to sustain in the long run. I think like you always have to think about like, is this sustainable over like 3 or 4 months? Because I know people who like work 16, 17 hours, but it's not sustainable for them. You have to figure out what's sustainable for you. Just because someone like can work crazy hours doesn't mean you can too. Like if your max is like 3 hours, that's perfectly fine. Because it's, you know you best, and that's the best way to go about it, is to see how much you can work. Because it's going to be different for everybody. Like, I don't care if you think like, oh, everybody should be able to work 9 to 5. That's not true. That's why there's different options like independent contractor, part-time work, freelance. Like, there's all different ways to go about it, and you should go for what works for you. That's what's most important. Like, what makes you happy? What's going to make you feel the most fulfilled? You have to understand that you only have one life, and, like, productivity is a pretty important factor in your success, but it shouldn't overtake your lifestyle, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have to work so many hours to the point that you feel like you get no alone time or you get no free time. That's not the goal of being productive. The goal of being productive is to be able to get things done that you want to get done and still have free time. You gotta be able to balance both. It's like a, you just gotta be able to balance everything. Like you're balancing plates. Like those guys at the, I don't know, at the circus who are like balancing a plate with the poles, but yeah, you gotta have time for having fun too. If you don't, like, what's the point? If you don't have time for fun too, it's pointless. Because you gotta have fun in life. That's the whole point. Like, the productivity should be able to lead you to having more free time and freedom. Like, I know a lot of people talk about financial freedom, stuff like that. It's out there, but it takes years to get to that point. Like, it's not gonna be like, oh, I wake up, I'm financially free, I'm making so much money. Like, it's possible as long as you put in the work. And that just comes down to being really productive. If you can, like, put in good 3 hours a day, just being straight productive, I think you're on the right way to making a lot of money. But you also gotta be smart about what kind of businesses you want to pursue or what's good for you. Like for me, I'm trying to put in a lot of work now and do projects that are gonna give me more money in the back end than the front end. So like with music, I'm hoping to keep collecting royalties so that they keep making money as it keeps going on down the road. But yeah, with my productivity, I think it's just about setting goals, making sure you don't get burned out, making sure it's sustainable, and making sure that you enjoy what you're doing. Because if you don't enjoy what you're doing, it's really hard to be productive. Just try to get into a field or something that you really enjoy and it won't feel like you're working. And that way you can continue to be as productive as possible. But yeah, those are my tips on being productive. Let me know what you think. And yeah, I'll be trying to come out with a video every day. No promises, but I'll be trying my best. I'll see you later.